So how you feeling about this weekend? What percentage do you put at City dropping points and Arsenal winning the title? Yeah, and there's like other things in the movement package that they could probably buff or tweak or do something side grade, you know? But it was one of those I was just scrolling through and I was thinking about it, and I'm always thinking about how the power scale has gone up. They even explicitly mentioned that in the patch notes a month or so ago, right? I think it was about um who was it? But it was about three cost cards, right? And they were like 3-4 was the power level for a while, but I guess it's the 3-5 now. Ha ha ha. You know what I mean? Ha ha, power creep. They basically all but said that. And so I was just anyways, I was scrolling through, I was like, and honestly, two things. Now, the Spectrum deck, as we know, is very, very popular right now and it's in a good spot. So I actually don't know if he needs this, but ultimately, what I was getting at is he definitely could be 2-5, but he might deserve to be a 2-6. Again, I'm a little apprehensive about that with him because of how good the Spectrum deck can be right now. And then obviously Luke Cage can help negate that, right? He's got a lot of things to negate it, but I definitely think he should be a 2-5. Doctor Strange could probably be a 2-4. City losing is hard to even imagine. Wait, what's it? City have a 2-point lead, so if they draw and Arsenal win, but y'all have the goal differential barely by one goal, if I remember correctly, or not, or drop by 3. I'll agree, or change the drop because that's what he used to be, if I'm not mistaken. He used to be a 2-5 -3, and he was another one of those that got nerfed because of the Shuri package. Taskmaster, Red Skull, She Hulk temporarily. They basically hit everything else in the package except Shuri for a while. One goal differential, but so they're up by 2, right? So if they draw and y'all win, y'all win the league. So they don't need to lose. But yeah, they get into these runs, and this is what I told my buddy a couple months ago. I was like, I don't want to speak it into fruition or like rain on your parade, but as a Liverpool fan, I've seen this too many times. Where they just rattle off. Not only do they go 15, 16, 17 matches unbeaten. That's one thing. It's they'll rattle off 14, 15, 16 wins on the bounce. And it's like, bro. But if they drew and y'all won and they are already with a one worse goal differential, then y'all wouldn't be tied on goal differential, right? I know it's early for you. I'm not trying to be too harsh. 3:30, you're just hanging out, brain fried. You've been working all day with like 8 games left. Yeah, got one now. Ooh, so the Pacers are up 13 at the end of the third. Oh, why is my game cast like this? It doesn't show the whole box score. Maybe I decided to hide that. Oh well, honestly, that's good. Did I catch that Pokemon, by the way? Yep. Ah, you did not. Suck. All right. Almost at 3 hours. Yeah, I don't know if I can wait 3 weeks or whatever it is. I will when I get closer. Just help me remember when we get closer to the end of the month to to start saving them. Yo, you realize what just happened? I just got a variant, okay, in that collector cache, and it's for a card that I had no variants for, which is usually a pretty cool moment, especially when you're this far into the game, you know? Almost 15,000 collection level. I have variants for almost every card except the brand new ones, right? And so anytime I get a variant, especially when I get a first time variant randomly, it's pretty dope. Fucking love it. And the game just kind of like robbed me of that moment because it did it in the something went wrong. This game's hating on your boy. Look at this. My first variant for her. And it's a pretty sick one. I know a lot of people have it, but dude, I talk about that concept that like sometimes you get a card, and then you get a variant for it so early on that, and then you maybe don't. A couple things happen. Either you don't get another variant, and or you maybe don't play with the card for months, and so it just kind of sits there and basically, uh, a you start getting used to it and you just kind of think that that variant is the base card. I have a few like that. This Craven is one of them. I have a Hawkeye. This Hawkeye is one of them. Um, and so that's one dynamic. And then the other one is like sometimes you'll get a card so early on, a variant that you like a lot, right? And then you'll set it as favorite. And then you'll get new variants that you don't like as much. You know you don't like as much, so you'll not favorite it, right? Then 6 or 7 months later, you'll randomly just like go. This is not a good example, but you'll like randomly go into and you're like, hey, I don't remember getting variants for it. Hell yeah, that's pretty cool. I had that a couple months ago with Angela. Like I thought I still only had this card, and randomly I had gotten Chibi and this one. All right, yep, I'm off Snap for now. Got most of this done. Got all weekend for that. One means I can get okay. I'll have 3 dailies and then 5 from the ones in the morning, which means I just gotta make sure I get on tomorrow before the lunchtime thing. Chibi, that's probably one of my favorite chibis. It's like really sick. Man, they just said a crazy stat about the Knicks that I think it's something like they played 12 playoff games and they have trailed by double digits in 9 of them. Like 6 of those 9, they managed to come back. So they're used to this, but you want to put yourself in that. I'm not to hate on the Knicks because they've been awesome and cool, really cool to watch. Battled really well, but with all that said, and if Jack was still here, he probably mentioned this, but if you go back to those first 2 games against the 76ers, especially the first one, they could have easily lost that game. Easily. And that changes that whole series. The one where the Knicks fouled Tyrese Maxey at the very end of the game. Essentially, the Knicks scored like 8 points in 10 seconds or something like that. They scored. Sixers get the inbound. Tyrese Maxey is fouled. They don't call it. They pick up the loose ball. DiVincenzo hits a 3. It was a whole thing. Tate. Oh. I saw on Instagram has more Instagram than the Knicks. Wow. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's hard to think that Jason Tatum's been in the league as long as he has. I think it's his 5th or 6th, but yeah, you're close, and because he still feels really pretty young, you know. Um, Breath of the Wild. Oh yeah, I was gonna check my resolution. He was drafted in 2017. Oh, well then that sounds like 7. I think Mark. Well, I don't want to say like either Fultz or Lonzo are bust. They both had good. You know, they're and it's still way too early to decide. Markel Fultz can be one of those players that in a couple years he lands on the right club, and then he's there for 5 years. He's a fantastic third option role player. Maybe even is a good piece in a championship run. Oh, that's a sloppy pass from Hardenstein. I like the idea, the little angle bounce pass into Brunson. Oh, where are the first two picks out of hospital? I I don't want to write off, especially Markel Fultz. I think he just needs the right spot. Where's he at now? In Orlando, maybe? I know last time I played Zelda, I was playing the newer one, Tears of the Kingdom, but I kept thinking of how many things there were still that I need to do in Breath. And my OCD, I want to do them in order. So I was like, I'm going to come back. He's at Orlando. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to write either of them off, especially not Fultz. But clearly Tatum was the best pick of the three. But again, who knows? What if Fultz went to the Celtics and Tatum to 76ers? You know what I mean? Like, it's not as okay, in the NFL and American football, there's the whole, like, we really see the concept of where you're drafted really mattering with quarterbacks, like, massively. But it really does affect almost every person drafted in every sport. But hell, it's not just drafted. Like, think of all the stories in footy where a player goes and he's in a certain academy for 5 years and he never really make grow, you know, and then, like, let's say he's at a Chelsea academy or Liverpool academy for years from like the ages of 11 to 15 and never, there's not really happening. And then he actually leaves. You obviously will leave a big club when you're at the like senior level and you're not getting minutes. You might leave a Liverpool to go to a Bournemouth or a Southampton or something, right? But when you're in the academy, in theory, it's better to be at the bigger academies. But we'll often see somebody like leaves Liverpool's academy at 15, and then it's actually at like Sheffield United that they have 2, 3 fantastic years of development, and next thing you know, you know, they're balling. Who Fultz? Oh, Ben Simmons. When that made sense at the time. Oh yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Um, and Ben Simmons, yeah, like you said, was a huge prospect. Um, he was so filthy at LSU. I watched numerous games of his in college, being an SEC fan. Anytime Georgia or South Carolina would play against him, it is wild how loud the ESPN app is. I have my TV volume on 1 and it's still pretty loud. Cole Palmer struggling to get minutes for City, then becomes a regular. But so that's a good shout. But so how I mentioned, oftentimes we'll see people leave the big clubs for smaller clubs. Well, that's harsh because obviously City and Chelsea are both big clubs, but that's in the example of people who are already at the senior level and they're not getting minutes at the senior level. His really wasn't the case of the like in the academy, right? I'm trying to think of a good example. I'm blanking right now. I'm also fighting. Oh, um, I almost said Sterling, but Sterling wasn't like that. So Sterling was in with QPR until he was 15, give or take. And then how's the volume, by the way? Oh wait, there is no volume. Hold on, let me fix that. Um, Adama Traore, that was a great example. But also he was already senior, so like 18 or older, 17, 8, you know what I mean? And he wasn't getting first team, right? I don't think he left when he was 15. Um, but they're all the closest equivalent to as we see in American sports when you get drafted to the wrong team. And just it's what it really speaks to, if we were to summarize it, is how important being in the right environment is. And it's not always like one particular environment. Like different people work better or worse in different environments. Um, so yeah, super cool. Hold on, let me refresh this. Bingo, bango, bongo. Still no audio, huh? Oh wait. Oh, there. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. Oh! Am I, is it synced up? I know you're probably going to leave soon, which is completely understandable given how late it is and how busy you are tomorrow, but if you can just give me one more little audio check for the syncage. No, it broke. My sword broke. I have been playing Zelda a whole bunch off stream over the last week on my Switch handheld. I can't lie, seeing it on my nice monitor it's really bringing out the colors. Dude, okay. All synced but too loud. Okay, Giroud is going to LA this summer. Is he? That's pretty cool. Why is my mic at 100%? Is my mic too loud? How's my mic? You think this is a little too loud? All right, let me go down a little bit. 20-point lead for the Pacers right now. Yeah, this is going to be tricky for the Knicks because with a short turnaround, the Pacers are deeper. Still too loud? The LAFC is La Celso. I think, was it La Celso? Who was it that was at LAFC? Oh, one of them was Carlos Vela. I think he was one of their bigger name signings. Carlos Vela. And I want to say they had one of the Dos Santos brothers, but I could be wrong. Yoris is at LAFC. What you think of Hugo Lloris? Yeah, and he's had a great career. Other than playing at Tottenham, because what do we think of Tottenham? Shit. What do we think of shit? You know the vibes. Also, imagine that Liverpool weren't shafted of those 2 points, maybe even 3, against Tottenham away when Luis Diaz was wrongly, you know, that whole little fiasco with VAR and the miscommunication between the two referees. Yeah. Also, imagine Martin Odegaard was called for a handball in the area at Anfield. Just those extra 4 points, and we're in it this weekend. I know that there's decisions across the season and stuff, and I'm sure there's like 2 that Arsenal can point to, but let's just say I would you start thinking of the decisions that you would want back. You can pick 3. And then one of my streams coming up, we'll look at them. the one that really pisses me off is the one at Tottenham, the Luis Diaz one, just because again it what like the Martin Odegaard handball one. I mean, while it's clear handball, I mean he's literally punching the ball and spinning on it like he's playing like I don't know if they do this in Algeria, but one of the games you might play at like a kid's party, like like your nieces and nephews party or something, is you get a baseball bat or you get like a bat kind of like a stick thing, and you go like this and you like spin around really quick until you get dizzy. You have to like spin around 5 times and then go touch this wall. And the thing is, when you spin, you get mad dizzy. You go, ah, and then everyone laughs as the old uncle, the funny uncle stumbles, right? Especially because what people don't know is he's probably had a couple cold ones, maybe smoked a blunt or something. And it's not even that he's dizzy. He's just fucked up and whoa. Anyways, um, that's what Martin Odegaard did. But it's one of those where it's like, okay, it is still like a handball. It's kind of subjective. There's a little like, yeah, you know what I mean? You can talk about it. The Luis Diaz at Tottenham literally is the VAR thought that they had called it onside on the field. So when the VAR goes to look at the replay, they are looking at it like they're looking for onside. And when they see that Luis Diaz was in fact onside, they relay back confirmed, call stands basically, like, yep, you got it right. And then the referee goes, confirmed, we got it right. Okay, boom, let's go on. But in reality, the referee had actually said they were offside. So the VAR, so it was one of those where it's not even a subjective, like, oh, that could have been called. It was a rough tackle, like in the 90s. No, it was pure human error, miscommunication, like a lack of protocol. I've talked about it, you probably heard me go on this rant a few times, sorry, but it's like, it's so frustrating. Because it's like, why did it need to be a 2-word thing? Why was it set up to where the VAR just goes, confirmed, yep, good to go? Like, why can't he go, confirmed, onside, correct decision? And then the referee goes, confirmed, wait. You said confirmed onside. No. The call on the field was offside. Is he offside? Oh, no. He's certainly onside. And then, you know what I mean? Like, all it took was the VAR saying 2 extra words. And then the other ref, then the head ref, the middle ref goes, whoa, no. You got it wrong. We actually did call it off. No, no, he's on. But so, like, that's when it's so frustrating, right? Like, that's not a subjective. That's how you run the very operation. It was so whack. And again, everyone blamed the VAR, and the VAR is the one who got taken off assignment the following weekend, right? They're the ones who got in trouble. One thing that got real fishy in the investigation of all of that is the two main people who were in VAR for that match. Let's say that match was on Sunday, right? They were it was either in Saudi Arabia or they were in Abu Dhabi, which I know, that I'm aware that Abu Dhabi is not in Saudi Arabia, for the record. I think you know me well enough now that I'm not that ignorant American. So let me clarify. Anyways, they were either in Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi on Friday. And it's like, first off, I think the reason why they were in Saudi Arabia or whatever is because they also referee for another league. Like, I think it's because they were in Saudi Arabia, and the Saudi league is building itself up, so I think they're getting referees from other leagues to kind of come in and like help and coach them on how to ref and whatnot. So they were in Saudi, but like, my thing is, let's assume there was nothing corrupt about anything there, right? Like, they just met everything. They were really just trying to help out the Saudi league. My thing is, like, shouldn't Premier League referees, a multi-billion-dollar industry, shouldn't the Premier League refs be paid so well? Or better yet, shouldn't there be like, did my camera go off? Oh man, this whole time I've been talking my hands. I'm so sorry. Or they can just say goal stands. Yep, on their own channel on the horrible refereeing, and that pressures the referees to be on their side to avoid being included. You know, speaking of TV channels, other than Tottenham, okay, let me say it like this. So Real Madrid has a Twitch channel you probably have seen before. They have a YouTube and a Twitch channel, and they actually have a really cool like sideshow, right? Where they have a show that does the build up to it. You can watch it on YouTube or on Twitch. Now, Liverpool and I'm sure Arsenal, most of these clubs now have the YouTube version of that where they do their own pre-game show. But Liverpool, I know Liverpool does not have a Twitch channel, like an official Liverpool FC Twitch channel where what it is it's just one show that they coast, they stream it to both, right? Simultaneously. So it's not any extra work, but it's one of those, I've actually, this is so desperate of me, but I've legit DM'd multiple executives on both Twitter and Instagram for Liverpool, basically like, hey, y'all are missing out on extra revenue and extra, not even if you don't care about the $1,000 that you can make a month extra on Twitch, right? They don't care about that. It's like you're missing out on more eyeballs seeing your club and potentially falling in love with it, right? Anyways, I've DM'd them literally saying like, hey, can I run your Twitch channel? Y'all don't have one. You got the YouTube channel. Can I help? I've clearly not heard anything back. But yeah, to wrap up the point, so a lot of criticism went to the VAR refs, right? They're the ones who didn't get any match. They got they basically didn't get any matches, or if they did, they got champion, like, the second tier of English football. So anyways, the VAR is the one who got in trouble. The VAR is the one everyone was like, why the fuck are they in Saudi Arabia? Even if it was completely legit in terms of like, there wasn't okay, worst case scenario, tinfoil hat, right? There's a representative from the Manchester City football group who meets with these referees in Saudi Arabia and slide them some money for the Liverpool Tottenham. That's obviously tinfoil hat, worst case scenario, super corrupt, right? Okay, taking that off. More realistically, let's say they were legitimately just there to help coach the referees for the Saudi League. Completely legit. It still begs the question, why aren't there rules in place to have any, whether it's VAR, whether it's the head ref, whether it's the assistant ref, if you're reffing a Premier League match that weekend, there should be like a 72-hour rule where like you can't leave the country. You know what I mean? Like you need to be locked in. That's your job. Like you need to be as sharp as you can be. Because again, let's just assume everything's hunky-dory, everything's completely legit. Just the jet lag. The two VARs fly to Saudi Arabia on Thursday, stay there, fly back on Saturday, have to be the VARs for Liverpool Tottenham on Sunday. So anyways, that's kind of the frustrating part. But my thing is, and so anyways, all the criticism went to the VAR, and there a lot should have. But I've always said Luis Diaz was so onside. It was so clearly onside that in fairness to the VAR people who are not there in that stadium, right? They're in the like VAR office in London or whatever. Luis Diaz is so onside that I almost sympathize with the VAR people, because they probably, again, they're jet lagged, they're tired, they were in Saudi Arabia 2 days before. They're sitting there watching, and in their mind, they're thinking, there is no way in hell they deemed Luis Diaz to have been offside there. So they're probably like, oh, a little groggy, a little sleepy. Oh, he's definitely onside. Okay, let's check to make sure he's onside. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were so, like, so to wrap it up, everyone gave shit to the VAR. I still want to blame the assistant ref a bit, because like he's so onside that I feel like the VAR just assumed that they had called onside because he was so clearly onside. And so it was almost like the assistant ref, the one who wrongly flagged offside initially, they didn't get in any trouble. And I'm sitting there like, to me, they're the ones who made the first critical mistake, because it's two things. One, he's so clearly onside. Why are you getting that wrong? But B, as we know, in the modern day game, when, especially when it's close, right? If it's even sort of close, you're supposed to not call offside. You're supposed to almost assume he's on, right? Let play happen, and then you can come back with VAR. You're usually not supposed to just blow it dead. And so anyways, rant over, but I just want those two back. Our good friend Anthony Taylor, 100K a year. Yeah, exactly. It was one of those where it's like, one dude should have never met, like, I don't understand how he even deems him off. And then that leads to the next people assuming, probably. And then the communication problem then comes back to the AR, and then everyone's left. Because do you remember how big of a shitstorm it was after the game? Like, not just Liverpool fans and Jurgen Klopp bitching about it. Like, this was, you know, the PGMOL, you know, the group who, like, oversees that kind of stuff. They released letters. They released statements. They talked about investigating themselves to try to improve protocols and stuff. Like, this was a big deal. It's so much so that they're voting this summer on, what's it called? And here's what's stupid. I think the vote is, do we use VAR next year or do we not? And it's like, that shouldn't be the vote. I think everyone will agree that we should have, maybe not everyone. Most people will probably agree that we should have VAR. It's just we have to use it better. Like, we're using it so stupidly. We're like, decisions that don't need to take 5 minutes are taking 5 minutes. Decisions that need to take 5 minutes are taking 30 seconds. And everyone in the stadium and watching at home are confused, and they're like, you know what I mean? It's almost like they're just like, they brush it over. They show you one quick replay, and then the commentators are like, oh, yep, by the way, he was offside. And we're like, well, we would like to know that. You know, like, can we see? Can we see? It's old school football. No goal line technology, no VAR. Ooh, there's my chest. To truly finalize that Luis Diaz thing, it's like, here's the other thing. You know what? I mentioned how in the modern day game, assistant refs are instructed even more so than ever to, like, let the play happen if it's close, because you can go back and chalk off a goal. But if you blow the whistle and you go ahead and flag and you stop somebody from being through on goal, and then they never even take the shot, you know what I mean? Like, you can't go back and assume they would have made the shot. So it's better to let them go, see if they finish the chance, and then if need be, you go. You see what I'm saying? So, like, you do kind of, we all understand why you would want them to let play happen first, and then you go back, right? But here's the thing. So, you know, back to the Luis Diaz thing, I was like, you know, in the modern day game, assistant refs are instructed to let it flow, right? Well, let's think about historically. For the first, 130 years, 140 years of football, assistant refs were also told to let, if it's close, if they think it's a tie, you're, like, when I first started learning about the sport, I would hear about the expression, like, if it's a tie, if it's a 50-50, you would hear this phrase, tie goes to the attacker, right? Because we do want to see goals in football. That is what puts people in the seats. That is what sells tickets, right? Goal scorers. So that's my thing, is like, even before VAR, assistant refs were instructed to, if it's a tie, to give it the tie to the attacker, right? And then nowadays, we're told that if it's close, let play happen. So that is two reasons. Whether you look at 140 years of the sport or the last 6 years of the sport, both should have told that assistant ref to to deem Luis Diaz onside organically. Like, his organic initial instant call should have always been onside, because that has been the, you know what I mean? Like, regardless of what time period you look at, it falls in that AR should have said that's onside. And so that's, it pisses me off so much. Possible handball. But instead they get way to actually improve. Replay the, I agree with that as well. Now, I think historically why they haven't wanted that is for like hooliganism and things to get rowdy and stuff. But my thing is like, maybe I'm being optimistic, but I like to think that the majority of football fans are level-headed when it comes to it, and really when push comes to stuff. Now, again, when you're at the pub, when you're with the homies, when, you know, there's banter. There's like saying that you're, like me saying Darwin Nunez is the best striker in the world, right? I don't obviously mean that, but I might say that because it's like I'm supporting my player. I kind of want to poke fun at my rival fan. You know what I mean? But I think when most fans come to push the sub, there's a lot of decisions that if they see it in their heart of hearts, they're going to be like, yeah, that was a handball. Yeah, that's not a handball. You know what I mean? Or at least, I don't know. So we'll see. But, all right, let me F this guy up before I get F'd up. That was a good little footy talk. It all started with me bitching about if only we had that, and maybe let's call it the Odegaard handball, we'd still be in the race this weekend. Womp, womp, womp. You know what they say, sucks to suck. Yeah, there's like, I think, and a lot of people have said this, they don't even need the American football example. You'll often hear Brits talk about rugby, but how much communication you get from rugby refs when they're making calls and stuff. And I just feel like we're at the point now, it's 2024. Like, a referee in football, the biggest sport in the world, when they're making decisions, it shouldn't boil down to being an air traffic controller. Like, you have hundreds of millions of people watching this, invested in this, and basically the communication we get from refs are, like, it's 2024. Do we really need air traffic controllers? You know, I've definitely watched several minutes, but I don't know if I've ever watched a complete match of it. I've watched like 5 minutes here, 15 minutes there, especially if it's a big, what are they called, like the sevens or something? It's like their World Cup. If it's like New Zealand and Ireland, or, you know, Italy and Scotland, yeah, I'm watching that. And not the full match, but I would definitely try to watch some of it for sure. The other thing, like, in fairness to VAR, in a way, right? Another thing that the whole sport, not just England or whatever, needs help with is we've got to come to a more consistent definition and interpretation and application of what a handball is, right? Like, you play it now. Should there be some differences in like what leagues? Like, is it fine that maybe in England they let tackle, like, you know, they let play get it? Well, I don't. Historically, the stereotype. Let me say that. Historically, the stereotype has been like England, you know, it's a bit more physical. Refs let more happen. They let more, you know, tougher challenges come versus, say, Spain, right? Again, historically, the stereotype. Well, I think it's fine that there's some differences there, right? Like, that some leagues you know what I mean, want to cultivate different kind of play styles. That's completely cool. But we shouldn't have like one handball set of rules and interpretations when you're playing in Premier League versus Champions League versus UEFA friendlies versus World Cup qualifiers versus World Cup groups. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they need to iron that out as a sport across the league. They get heads from all the major leagues, even South America. They get all of the people from FIFA, and they line up some more clear consistency. Well, for sure, but now there's a lot of ways that we do know intent and like how like we'll often hear ball to hand versus hand to ball. Um, but yeah, there. I mean, and there, it's tough. Like, but that's my point. Like, so one of the confusions is so okay for the first like 10 years that I followed the sport, right? There was very much a concept that if there was proximity, if it was too close, if everything was too close, um, it was significantly less likely to be called. Like even if your arm was here in a non-natural position, right? But me and you are point blank, and you fire in across, and I'm like this, but you fire in across at me from point blank range, and it hits my arm. For a decade, there was a lot of times that might not be called because it's like there was no way that they could have avoided it. It was more ball to hand instead of, you know what I'm saying? So like that's one example is proximity. For 10 years, that was a huge factor in like mitigating a handball. But then over the last few years, they have stripped away that proximity big time. And it's almost entirely about where your arm is and your silhouette. And of course, like if you're sliding, your arm can be a little further out. So uh Liverpool played recent in our match the other day. Virgil jumps and it hits his hand, like he heads it, like he goes to challenge for aerial duel, and it's like his arm is like this and it hits his arm in our own area, but it's not called a handball, and I don't think it should have been, because when you're jumping, that is a natural position, right? So just that concept of like where do okay, are we gonna factor in proximity, and if so, how much? Let's kind of iron that out, right? We have cameras that can track distance. I work in analytics. We have yards passing, the distance of the pass measured. We even measure high intensity sprints. My point is, I think we can get to a point where we can more scientifically say, like, okay, if it's within 3 meters, you know what I mean? These are the rules, right? I don't know, something along those lines. But that's where we start, is things like proximity versus do we factor it in versus not. Um, how, like, okay, we all agree that the silhouette and like your natural motion should be factored in, but like, where does it stop getting factored in? Whoa, what's that, like aurora borealis? Oh, that's that mountain. Ooh, this is big. Put an appeal to FIFA for the way too biased refereeing. Damn. In the World Cup qualifiers, I had not heard about that. Pacers and Knicks, dude. Game 7. We got two game 7s on Sunday. Juicy. It almost seems scripted. You'd think ESPN paid a shit ton to have both series go perfectly to 7 games so ESPN can have both of them and then have it like Super Sunday. Gave them a spot for the World Cup. Yeah, like we still there was that whole corruption sweep with Sepp Blatter and a lot of his people, and we knew a lot about that, and some people got arrested, but I don't know if there's been enough follow up on that at all. No, 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 don't run. Oh, that's what I want. Okay, we need to zoom in and we gotta take a picture of this guy. This is part of a quest. What World Cup qualifying cycle was this? The 2022 one or the 2018 one? Peak really wants to see what a Blurpee looks like. Even a picture will do. Apparently the Blurpee... Okay, I just took a picture of one. Although it's not... It's still showing us question mark. New York is a big market. That's why the Pacers fans, the little like quote, their chant they've been saying this series is Hicks versus Knicks. Oh, much better. Ooh, yeah, I had to get him from the front. Pause. Little Blurpee. Look how cool they look, man. What's up, buddy? Yeah, it just, like, just now they were showing the graphic for it and how both series are going to be, you know, game 7, and they're both on ESPN, and it got me, I was like, you know, that's a little too convenient. Now, if one was on TNT and one was on ESPN, you're like, So, okay, whether you... Okay, let me ask it this way. What American sports networks do you get in Algeria organically? And, you know, obviously you can get anyone through like a torrent or a, you know, a streaming website, but I mean like whether it be you go and buy cable, you buy, you know, cable, which ones can you get a package for, and or can you like subscribe to ESPN Plus? None? Which ones do you have? Is it like Sky Sports as one, Al Jazeera Sports maybe another? Oh, excuse me. Oh, this is a creepy little... This is a creepy little cavern. Oh, I've already messed up. This is one of those timed ones, I think, and I'm taking too long. Oh, where did it go? Al Jazeera Sports got bought by beIN. Did they? We had beIN Sports for a little while. Oh, nice. It wasn't timed. For like maybe like 6 years. It's actually one of the earlier channels that helped me get like really get into European football. What was I gonna say? But then, like Comcast, which is the television provider. I'm sure you've heard of Comcast before, maybe. Ooh, that was a well-hidden Korok seed. First, there's a pile of leaves, and then there's a rock underneath the leaves you had to pick up. I use an internet instead of cable. What was I gonna say? Anyways, yeah, then Comcast stopped carrying beIN Sports. I was like, no. There was a period of about a year and a half in particular around 2011, maybe even 2 years, around 2011, where the vast majority of Liverpool matches I had to illegally watch. There was physically no way, like even if I wanted, you know how like you can get like a UFC as a pay-per-view, right? Like I couldn't even buy it as a pay-per-view for like $40, even if I wanted to. I want it $40 for one match, no thanks. But yeah. That's what I figured you meant. It is wild, man. Like the entire concept of like an infrastructure is crazy to me, right? Like you take okay, take a country like Russia, for example, okay? I know American talking about Russia. Oh, where is he going with this? Um, but let's say hypothetically Russia wanted to go about modernizing their entire country. Like obviously most of their country is incredibly modernized. What I mean like is like they wanted to run power everywhere. They wanted to give internet and running water, like you know what I mean, all of those things to every household across the country. You have certain countries like the big ones, the like in the big in mass, right? Brazil, America, Canada, Russia, China, Australia. The thing is, what's fascinating to me is, well, for all of those countries, they have large chunks of land that are uninhabitable, right? Like China, you have the Gobi Desert, and you have the portions of the Himalayas. Russia, you have Siberia. America, you have um like the Grand Canyon, you know, Death Valley desert area. You have the swamps, like in my state, Georgia, we have a huge swamp called Okefenokee, and then there's the Everglades in Florida, right? You have the swamps in Louisiana. Um, Brazil, you have the Amazon. So, anyways, I've always been fascinated at the like fact that even if a country wanted to put internet every square inch, every square meter of their country, there's a lot of areas that just don't need it. You know what I mean? I don't know what made me think of that. Maybe the dishes conversation, falling in snow because of the dish, where you having to like go up and adjust it. But anywho, it's yeah, it's always fascinating. Ooh, is that the Lord horse? Ooh, it's a mountain buck with a blurpee. How about that picture? Ooh, which one's better? The one on the left when he's sprinting, or the one where he's? I think it's that one. So there was no reception. Oh, that's funny. I'm just picturing you up there, like, God damn it! I just want to watch the game. You shoveling snow. You get a whole bunch, and you think you got it cleared, and you yell down to like your dad or somebody. Is it working? No. Oh fuck. What about now? I'm tired of shoveling fucking snow. No, we need climb to clean the snow off and slip. Ooh. You gotta be better, man. Is that what sprained the knee? How do you know if you have something registered into the... Oh, okay, I know actually that answer. It'll have the question mark. I'm so smart. It was snowing. Wait, did that not register? Come here, buddy. Shithead. A lot of snow. Where I live, some years we don't even get snow, and others, if we do, it's like if we get multiple feet of snow, it's a big deal. Snow was in abundance. Dude, why aren't these registering? What do you have to do? Oh, wait. There it is. You got to get the square around them. I finally get the square and I'm out of space. Oh, wait, hold on. How did I do that again? Okay. Boom. I would have had severe frostbite. Well, glad you had it on you. All right, you got to wait there. Oh. Come on. No. Dude, this is a tedious. There it is. Oh, so you do need the square to go around it for it to register. And then if it has orange text, so he's already registered. I knew that. All right, enough Pokemon Snap. These games are so dope. All right, I'm gonna take a break. I just realized it's 11:30, and you need to go to sleep, my friend. So I'm gonna take a break, if almost to force you to stop watching me. I appreciate it, but you need to get some sleep. Plus I need to take my trash cans to the street before it gets too late. Oh, he's fast. This game is so massive, man. There's just like a billion things to do at all times, and for better or worse. What's going on with this guy? This looks... Ooh, you know what this means? Okay, so if you see... last thing I'll do before... If you see a ring of rocks like that, what you do is you throw... You gotta throw a rock in the center of it. So sometimes you'll see a bunch of flowers on like a lake in a circle. For that, you have to dive... what's it called? You have to dive through it. Through the circle. For this, you have to throw a rock in between it. Don't slide off. No, 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 no. Oh, what a catch. Fuck. Don't, no, come back. I'm pissed. Yeah, basically. That's a great way to put it. Wait, they're sinking. That's not what we wanted. They're not supposed to sink. Oh, okay, I didn't need to even get the height. Great, now I aim better sleep. I appreciate that, man. Hopefully the work isn't too bad. You'll get a lot done, and you get this project almost done. And like I said yesterday or something, in a couple weeks, like maybe two-ish weeks, I'll be off of work for like a month straight. So there'll be a ton of gaming, hanging, streams. I'm going to try to get more things involved with the stream, like more giveaways again, things like that. Oh, look at this little puzzle. Looks like, I bet you have to block both of these holes. Uh-huh. Fuck. Okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna take the break. Ah. Actually, I might just call it, because it's already been almost 4 hours. Dude, this is nuts. Sir. Oh my god, this is so tricky. I feel like I'm at a carnival. Dude. Alright, fuck it. I'm gonna start with this guy. Maybe I should have done that from the jump. I'm over here trying to, like, reverse sway the one that I'm not controlling into the circle. Probably not my best move. Wow. Imagine the time I could have saved. Stop swinging your balls. I'll try. So will I. So there will be a lot of viewing. Can I walk across it? I walk the line. I walk the line. Okay, apparently not. All right, dude. I'm gonna call it there. Get some sleep. Have a good day at work tomorrow. Appreciate you hanging out per usual. Also, fuck Hella. I'm just kidding. If you use Hella, you're still my homeboy. But fuck Hella. Wait, I think I just found my catchphrase. That's what I'm gonna say when I begin and end stream. Screw Hella. All right, I'm out. Later, man. Have a good night.